Well, Hunter Dickinson's provided them some consistency. You think he's been playing like an All-American?
I do. I think he's played really well.
Dickinson 20 a game in the last 4. He and Kansas will be on defense to start Colorado basketball to the 165th meeting between the Buffs and the Jayhawks. And what a great start for Colorado, winning the tip and getting a basket from the sophomore Bangat Dak. Kansas wearing special uniforms today, a celebration of Black History Month. And the Jayhawks get it into KJ Adams. On the floor with DeJuan Harris, transfers Mayo, Griffin, and Dickinson, and the big man has the first Kansas bucket.
Pretty easy. Good ball movement side to side. They move the Buffs defensively, all 5, and Hunter Dickinson seals his man. Easy 2.
Colorado with its 12th different starting lineup of the year. They get an open 3 from Andre Yakimovsky, who misses. Julian Hammond's their leading scorer. Javon Ruffin and the talented young front court of Sebastian Ronchik and Bangat Dak. Super experienced starters for Kansas. Here's Harris in the lane, and the friendly bounce goes for the graduate student DeJuan Harris Jr.
And he's got that floater down, Kevin. Good job of coming to a stop without traveling.
Colorado, year 15 under the former Jayhawk Tad Boyle. They're taking quick shots, and there's a 3 from this freshman out of Slovakia. They really like Sebastian Ronchik.
Yeah, Ronchik, he's a legacy guy. His dad was an excellent player at Iowa State, Martin Ronchik.
A 3 from Ryland Griffin, a potential answer. He missed, but he was fouled by Ruffin. Warm welcome for Tad Boyle before the game. He and one of his assistant coaches, Danny Manning, one of the great players in Kansas history. Boyle played here from 1981 to 85, played in the Big 12 with KU, coached in the Big 12 with Colorado until 2012. And he and the Buffs are back in the league. Very special homecoming, Fran, for a guy who knows how much this place means.
Without a doubt. And Danny Manning, as you see Danny right there. Tad was a senior in 1985. Danny was a freshman. Of course, he went on, Danny, to have one of the great careers in the history of this great program. And back in 1985, I was a young assistant at Ohio University. We played Larry Brown, Tad Boyle, and Danny Manning in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. And Danny had a marvelous career here.
How many points did you allow in that game?
We lost 52-40. I do recall we held the ball without a shot.
I only asked how many points you allowed. I didn't know how many you scored.
No,
52 is pretty good.
We held them to 52, but we only scored 40.
Dak will shot fake, drive it into Dickinson. And Dak finds the outlet. It's a cutting Ruffin. Back to Dak for 3. Too strong. And after the 3 free throws from Griffin, Zeke Mayo down the floor for Kansas.
Dak's got his work cut out for him because he's got to guard this.
And Dickinson held. Hammond came over to help. Looks like the foul will go against Dak, though, his first. Bill Self, year 22, winning his coach here at Kansas. Only the 10th coach in 127 years of this proud program.
You know, he played at Oklahoma State back in those days. And he told Tad Boyle a while ago, we were the only 2 guys who could guard each other.
By the way,
we were so slow.
Tad and Bill both repeated the same line.
I know. Bill was a solid player for the Cowboys. Took the Cowboys to the '83 NCAA tournament.
Bill, this is my first trip to the Fog. I asked Bill about his first trip, what he remembered. And he said, I remember that we lost, but I was happy because I scored 12. I was a little more selfish back then, Bill Self said. There's a deep 3. No good for Hammond with 22 Saturday, and a tight loss to Houston for Colorado. 0-12, but they have been in almost every Big 12 game, and they were down just 2 with a few minutes to go against the Cougars. As Mayo rattles into Kansas 3.
Not a surprise, Kevin. He shoots 50% from 3 in this building. Local kid, grew up a couple miles from here, very comfortable in the Fog. I like this kid, man. I like this kid. I think they're not going to count that basket, but this young man has, for a freshman, has fearlessness. And here's Zeke Mayo letting it go. The big issue with Zeke, as Bill Self has pointed out, is he's been Jekyll and Hyde. home and away. And we talk about consistency. He needs to be more consistent away from home.
19 a game near the Fog, 10 a game away from home, including road neutral. There are the overall numbers for Mayo. This Kansas team on the whole, pretty dramatic home road splits as Dak flips it in over Dickinson. Nice buckets early for Bangor Dak, showing off a little extra offensive skill.
Yep, he's their most athletic player. He had a monster game against Cincinnati at home.
Now we'll try to guard Dickinson. Had the ball knocked away and taken by Ronchik. In transition for Colorado. Ronchik
a Euro.
Will get the continuation on this basket.
Well, you mentioned Slovakia, and that's a Euro step par excellence right there. Young man that played high school basketball. Watch this Euro step right here. Whoop. Played his high school basketball in California. Dad, I mentioned Marcin, his dad, now an assistant coach with the Chicago Bulls.
6'9", 210 freshman completes the three-point play, and he is already above his season average of 5.1. He's got an early 6. 6 straight for Kansas, 5 straight for Colorado. Jayhawks have Flory Bidunga, terrific freshman shot blocker on the floor. Shot fake for Griffin. Too strong from 3. How important is Rylan Griffin shooting to the team the rest of the season?
He's like an X factor because this kid got 17 in the NCAA tournament for Alabama against North Carolina.
Dak physical inside. Bidunga just on the floor with a rebound.
And Rylan had a monster game in here against Houston.
Mayo inside of Bidunga, gets an early touch. Double team comes. There's Ronchik in there again, and Kansas has the arrow on the jump. Great activity by Sebastian Ronchik in Colorado early. A 10-10 tie at the opening break.
And Harris, they're used to playing with pros. They've played with 6 NBA players, and unfortunately right now none of those transfers are playing like a future NBA player.
Is there pro potential in that group?
Marginally, you know, marginally, but not like having a Christian Brown or an Ochai Agbaji or Jalen Wilson.
Mayo tied up with Colorado has been active defensively here. Back-to-back jump balls, and this time the Bucks have the arrow.
Now, Kevin, I've seen Colorado practice a couple times. I've done 3 games. Keep in mind, they lost 3 NBA draft picks last year. When I was up in Boulder in the summertime, I said to Coach Boyle, I said, man, I bet you wish you had those 3 guys coming into the Big 12. Of course, they don't. They've been competitive, but still looking for that first one.
Cody Williams, Tristan Da Silva, KJ Simpson was a team that won 26 games in a tournament game a year ago. There's a steal that's thrown away by Yakimovsky, and Griffin fights through the contact. A cutting Harris took a little bit of a bump, not enough to draw a foul. The rebound, Elijah Malone, who transferred up from the NAIA. There's some small school transfers here. Malone, who was at Grace College, along with Trevor Basket from Colorado Mesa. That will be a goaltending on the block shot attempt by the high-flying Bidunga.
And he is a great shot blocker, no question about that. One of the best in the country. But that ball, if it hits the board, hard to tell from my angle here. Let's see. Maybe not.
That could be reviewed now.
Yeah, that can be reviewed.
Whistle on it at the next break.
That's right. At the 12, at the under 12. Keep an eye on that. That might have been a clean block.
R.J. Smith with the basket, at least for now, and Smith knocks it out of bounds.
Yeah, they're going to review it. They've already. Greg Dixon just looked at the scorer's table and said, "Save that. We're going to take a peek at that." Little zone now by the Buffs.
And a 3 for Mayo. His second.
This is great. Zeke's had, for the most part, a really solid year.
Inside, Malone couldn't handle it. Shaquille Moore in the game, trying to take it away. Fought for with Ruffin, and Ruffin had possession of the ball, or at least touched it out of bounds. So back to KU.
You know, as I mentioned, young man from Lawrence High, 3 years at South Dakota State. You cannot leave him open, especially in here. And I'll say it, he's got to do that on the road for Kansas to reach their potential.
46% from 3 in this building, 30% everywhere else. He's 2 for 2 tonight. More. Adams and Bidunga tic-tac-toe for a slam.
Yep. This Kansas team has about as good a big-to-big passing as you'll see in the league or in the country. Dickinson and Adams particularly outstanding ball dime droppers.
They've got it with Adams again. Throws it to Moore. Back to Bidunga. And Adams swats it out right into the hands of Ruffin. Head of steam for Javon Ruffin, and he gets dispossessed. Great defense, Mayo from behind, and Adams on the deck, and another steal.
Fans like the scrappiness.
Colorado has been just killed by turnovers this year. They're 344th turnovers a game in the country, more than 15 per. Adams at the elbow.
KJ's added that this year. That's not something you saw a lot in his first 3 years, but that mid-range foul line J, pretty accurate.
7 straight for Kansas. With a screen and roll, space for Ruffin. Malone on the offensive glass. Puts it up with the left and scores it.
Nicely done by the big fella. He was the small college player of the year last year. The Bevo Francis Award. You know where Bevo played college basketball?
Well, his name is Bevo, so maybe against the University of Texas.
No, good guess. Rio Grande College in southeastern Ohio.
That was my second guess. Bidunga! Oh, my!
From Adams.
Flory Bidunga, who often seems to double jump in the air. A couple of baskets off the bench to lead back to 5.
You just saw why he's shooting nearly 80% from the field.
Inside to Malone. Quick
Nice
touch against Bidunga.
Yep. You know what I like about that? Didn't hesitate. It's like a baseball pitcher. You'd appreciate this. Fastball, curveball. Bidunga was waiting for the fastball, and he threw the curveball.
Bevo Francis would have appreciated that hook, I think.
Yep. He once scored over 100 points in the game.
Did he really?
Yep. I'm a font of user.
I don't know why I would question that. It's exactly. Off the Mayo base, here comes Colorado.
You'll hear some bizarre stuff tonight.
Oh, I already have. Griffin, and it knocked away by Adams. Colorado shooting at 7 for 12. Kansas shooting at 7 for 12. And Bidunga with some high percentage.
Yes, this guy once made 32 straight field goals in high school. And this, Kevin Brown, is why. Keep it simple. The best team in the country all season long. But Alabama, obviously, what Nate Oates is doing there, that's going to be a great, great matchup.
And 4 teams in the SEC this week received the first place vote since at least 2002. First time 4 teams from one conference have received the first place vote in the same poll.
Well, this league, the Big 12, watch out, has been the best league in the country the last decade. This year, clearly the SEC has loaded up top to bottom.
There's a foul against Hassan Jope, who just missed the 3 against Dickinson. It's funny, you see this league, Fran, obviously a lot more than me. It seems to me like the Big 12 has become a little underrated this year because, rightfully so, the SEC has gotten so much praise. You see the punch.
That's a foul.
By Jope.
I think what's happened is Kansas has not been Kansas. Baylor's not been Baylor. That's certainly a factor. Arizona, Houston struggled very early. They're now playing great basketball, although from what we've heard, K-State was leading at the half in Manhattan, who, by the way, other than Houston, might be playing the best basketball of anybody in this league and maybe the country. Kansas State now on a 5-game win streak, coming off that win Saturday at home against these Jayhawks.
And K-State's up 3 right now on Arizona.
All right.
Arizona trying to get back into a first-place tie with Houston. Texas Tech's right behind them as well. They've had a fabulous conference season.
Yep. Houston and Arizona will play in Tucson this weekend. Nice drive. Another one of those youngsters.
It's Felix Caceres, the freshman, who had 5 quick points against Houston in the first half last game. Bidunga picks up his first. So 24 years since Kansas did not win the Big 12 in one of back-to-back seasons. And sure doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. They're 4 back in the loss column Arizona, the newcomer, right there with Houston.
Yep.
Texas Tech, and then Iowa State. Some struggles of late, but still a very strong year.
Well, you saw a lot of American Conference basketball, so you know how good Houston was and is. And again, it's cyclical, but I think because Kansas and Baylor are not where they normally are, the league is perceived to be down a little bit, and it is.
Caceres misses them both. Rebound Baduga.
Number 1 and 3 recruits in the ESPN Top 100 will be in the Big 12 next year. Devanza at BYU and Peterson coming here. A great guard out of Ohio.
And with the two bigs together, Baduga and Dickinson on the floor. David Coit as well. Harris lobs it off the back of the rim. Wasn't sure if he was looking for Baduga or his shot. Hit the rim. Colorado 7 for 8 from 2 so far. They're 1 for 6 from 3. And they're now 1 for 7 as Ruffin misses. Joke rebounds it. Ruffin thinks about another. Steps in with 2. Can't play the angle.
A little too far out to bank that shot, in my opinion. That's a lot of mustard on that.
Bit of a scoring drought for KU. Harris will end it.
You know, when he drives, Kevin, he's deceiving because he's got a 6'7" wingspan, and he just swooped in. It looks like he's, got a chance to get it blocked, but he's just too long and had too much space.
Colorado now in a drought of about 2.5 minutes. Dak bricks it. Harris with 4 points. His next assist puts him alone in second KU history. Dickinson.
Good looking shot by Hunter. Ball was in and out. Ranchik, this kid, I like him. Plays with a lot of toughness.
Do you like the threes they're getting?
Yeah, I do, because they turn it over so much. Isn't it better that they shoot a quick three and turn it over?
Well, there's a quick three from A.J. Storr. If Kansas wants to go somewhere, it feels like an absolute necessity that he gets going.
You know, knowing the history of this program, good look inside. I think of Malik Newman, who, helped Kansas get to a Final Four. I think of Remy Martin. Those guys came on late. One of these transfers, Mayo's been solid, but one of these other transfers, Griffin, Storr, they've got to be really, really solid down the stretch. Not easy to play at Kansas with the bullseye on your back.
Storr will drive it. Got his own miss. He got fouled before the shot. So a little aggression here from A.J. Storr. St. John's, Wisconsin, and now here at Kansas for his junior year.
Yeah, no question. Second team all Big 10, a year ago, playing at Wisconsin. And inconsistent shooter, but it comes off his hands nice right there. One of these things that we talk about when you play at KU, whether you're a high school guy or a transfer, is you are on the road a bullseye. You're the biggest game of the season, and then in this building with all these great knowledgeable fans, you got to perform, and they know. They've seen it happen for about 100+ years.
Well, the court's named after the inventor of basketball. The fans are good.
Yeah.
1 for 2 for Storr, who's got an early 4 off the bench. Kansas by 7. They've been locked down defensively the last few minutes. Ranchik stripped and fouled on the way up. Storr didn't like it. It'll be a shooting foul called by Greg Nixon. Strong defensive stretch here for KU. Jayhawks trying to get back to winning ways at home.
I was at Ohio U. He was at Pittsburgh in 1986, and he had just come from being a grad assistant at Kansas, and he said, hey, do you want to drive over to Kansas City tonight? The Sweet 16 is at Kemper Arena, and I can get 2 tickets. We go to the arena. I know NC State, Jimmy V was there, Kansas, and I could not believe the love affair, the religion, second religion that KU basketball had in this state. First experience with KU basketball, thanks to Coach Cal.
What a collection of talent. That staff. What a finish this is. K.J. Adams took a hard foul and squeezed it home for 2.
Nice pick and roll. Great pocket pass. Coming out of a timeout. Nobody better. Watch. Great dime. Two young men who have poured their heart and soul into this program. And listen, I'm going to say it again. I don't care what anybody thinks. They are great role players in the tradition of Relaford, Withy, Tyrell Reed. They won a national championship with DeJuan Harris as the point guard because he played with 3 NBA players. They are great role players for this program. And most smart people know that.
Sure. Harris has 4. By the way, he did pick up an assist before the break, so Harris has passed Jacques Vaughn. He's second all-time in Kansas history in assists. DeJuan Harris now with 805. And more free throws coming for Sebastian Ranchi. Well, this Thursday, one of the best women's basketball games maybe of the year, although the SEC, it feels like maybe of the week. There's always a loaded game, and it's Texas and Kentucky, number 3 and number 8. 7 Eastern, 6 Central on ESPN2 and the ESPN app.
Well, the game of the year was this past week, earlier in the week, when Texas knocked off South Carolina. I believe the streak was 57. Texas extremely well coached by Vic Schaefer. Madison Booker, young lady from Jackson, Mississippi, is just an incredible player, only a sophomore. And so the streak ends. Got a feeling Dawn Staley will start another one.
I think so. I think we're also set up for another absolutely loaded tournament. UCLA, Notre Dame, South Carolina try to defend its title. Big to big again, boy. They just love that delivery. Adams to Dickinson.
Adams has been, in my mind, one of the best passing forwards that Bill Self has had. And coming off a shoulder separation where he missed 3 games, he's starting to get back on track.
Airball jumper by Hammond. Here's Mayo. Last home game for Kansas, Adams had 5 assists in that demolition of Iowa State. Maybe another assist here. Mayo off the fake. Too short.
After KJ came back from that separation, and talking to Coach Self, he said normally he should not be playing, but this is his senior year. Oh, look at this! Oh!
Adams spikes it. Point saves it. Up ahead to Harris, who does not have numbers, and tried to force the action.
Bill Self said he would have normally sat him down for even more games, but KJ did not want to miss any more games, knowing that this is it. Look at this.
Separated shoulder. Right now he's separating the basketball. Another tie-up, and Kansas has the arrow.
I'll tell you what, Karch Karai, the new men's USA volleyball coach, would have loved. Well, that's not legal in volleyball, but this would be.
He still would have liked it, though.
He still would have liked it.
Adams, Dickinson, and Baduga. These 3 bigs have been outstanding tonight. And 29-20, the Kansas lead as Dickinson takes another seat. Baduga's back out there. They've had 3 lob big-to-big dunks in the game. Harris penetrating. See that wingspan on display as he fights to get his own miss. The first offensive rebound for Kansas in the game. Coit. Off the hands of Baduga, Bucks ball.
You get excited if you're a KU fan in here, but as we've made the point a couple times tonight, they've got to take this kind of energy on the road with them. Bill Self thinks the next month is going to be a way to sharpen the saw a little bit, since the regular season title looks out of reach right now.
Bucks are 1 for their last 8. Harrison Carrington, the former walk-on, turns it over. 6th of the game for Colorado. Well, it has been a punishing first half for KJ Adams, and a timeout, Colorado. Back at 30.
So K.J. Adams putting his mark on the first half. And it's been really his energy and his athleticism, which has been just unbelievable. And this is kind of the story of his career. High school and college combined, he's won 80% of his games. You know, when I compare, and I remember Bill Self saying this last year, compared him to Draymond Green. If you took Draymond Green is one of the fourth best players on a team in history. If you put Draymond on the Wizards right now and ask him to score 20 points, that's not who he is. What K.J. Adams has always been is a great energy guy.
8.5 points a game, 5 rebounds, 2.3 assists, doesn't turn it over ever.
By the way, probably did as good a job of shutting down Cooper Flagg this year as anybody.
Here's a 3 for Yakimovsky. Colorado's just 1 for 9 from 3 and 1 for its last done overall. Badunga almost had another lob dunk for Kansas.
An assist, another assist by KJ. Watch Flory, he gets out of that screen quickly.
Mayo driving. Shot fake. Rolls it home. And Mayo with 8.
You know, Zeke is critical for this team down the stretch of the season.
Well, he's got 4 assists in the game, 2 steals as well. So very active first half for Mayo. As you've noted, he loves playing here. Bucks have gone very deep, looking for a lineup that works. They haven't found it since the opening minutes. Yakimovsky denied. Carrington fouled. He'll get to the line.
A young man from Austin Westlake High School, a lacrosse player in middle school, now a hooper.
Sean Cup will see you guys at 3:36. K.J. Adams has 6, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Been great defensively, and 9 assists ran on 13 made field goals for the Jayhawks.
Yeah, good ball movement, and we've highlighted the bigs. Big-to-big passing. You know, Bill Self in recent years, or in the old days, would play high-low basketball with the Morris twins, Shady Arthur, Sasha Khan, Jeff Withey, Cole Aldridge, and a guy named Perry Ellis, who was here with Wilt Chamberlain and Danny Manning. But they've got that big-to-big passing going this year.
4 dunks in the first half. Kansas shooting at 57%. Moore drives it, flips it for Dickinson, and a soft foul at the end.
Good job by Shaquille getting into the heart of the defense. It looked like he was going to shoot it, but he knew he had the big fella just lurking. Watch this. Good kick. Watch the baseline drive. Watch Hunter go right to the circle. And a good no look by the Mississippi State transfer out of Greensboro, North Carolina.
Three-point play for Hunter's got 7. Probably finish out the half, or at least that's the plan. Badunga picked up his 2nd foul right before the under 4-minute timeout. Colorado's leading scorer with the ball, Julian Hammond. He has not scored in this game. He's 0 for 2. He had 22 of their 59 Saturday in a very tight game with Houston. Right now, Mayo's on him. He's done a great job. Switch on to Moore. 5 to shoot. Open 3. R.J. Smith wouldn't go. Rebound Dickinson.
Now, R.J.'s been hurt, but he is a terrific shooter. Got a good look right there.
Storr passes up the 3, and he was standing on the end liner. Griffin, beg your pardon, who turns it over. Featured triple header Saturday on ESPN. We told you about 1 and 2, Auburn and Alabama in a Sonic blockbuster. North Carolina just fighting for its tournament life. A really tough season for the Heels. Will go to the Dome, followed by Kentucky and Texas. It starts at 4 Eastern, 3 Central, all on ESPN and the ESPN app. Kentucky another big game tonight, home against Tennessee. Took care of the ball 75-64. Quarter 3 for Moore is short. How does Colorado get a clean look, friend? They haven't scored from the field in their last 6:22.
They're 1 for 10 from 3. They're getting good looks. They're not turning it over like they normally do. They can't do any more than they're doing. The ball's just got to drop. I don't think Kansas's defense has bothered them as much as if they're just not making shots.
Hammond switched on to Adams, who stays down on him. And a difficult pass kicks away to Dak. Fortunate bounce. Ruffin. Dak.
Good ball movement.
The drive
Nice.
by Hammond finally on the board.
Yeah, really good possession right there. The best of the first half by the Buffs. Great ball movement. I think everybody might have touched that ball.
Snapped a drought of about 7 minutes without a field goal. Colorado's not a bad shooting team. As you mentioned, they turn it over a lot, but they have just been missing shots this half. Dickinson all alone.
That's money. You know, Ken Pomeroy, who's the analytics guru, Hunter's been in the top 3 in National Player of the Year all season. Now, number 1 and number 2 are Flagg and Chani Broom, who are both heading towards the All-American team, but I think Hunter is too. The only thing he's not doing is parking cars.
How do you think you do with that?
Great, especially with the big ones, the Jeep Wagoneers and the big SUVs.
Some of his numbers are up from last year. Some are down. The three-point shooting's obviously down a lot. Where are you seeing his game grow, and where are some deficiencies?
I want to tell you where he's. Well, if he was a surefire NBA prospect, he'd have been gone by now. Not to say he can't make it, but he's a much better defender than people think, because they don't challenge him very much at the rim, so he doesn't get a lot of blocked shots.
Deep 3 missed by Rachi. Mayo thought about it and then over-dribbled it. A steal for Colorado and Ruffin. Dak down the floor. He gets huge numbers here. Takes a very difficult shot, but he does get fouled. Could have just flipped the ball inside to Hammond, but Dak will shoot 2 more. Griffin with his second foul.
Young man who went to high school in Lincoln, Nebraska. Southeast High School has produced a bunch of NFL players, but Bangat, the part of a family of Sudanese refugees. Many of them immigrated during the Civil War. They end up in Omaha, Des Moines, Rapid City. This young man grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska, and obviously does not have a football body.
Unless you want to just put him in at the 2 and throw fades to him. He was going to go to Sunrise Christian Academy a little down the road in Wichita, and Colorado got him late in the recruiting season a couple of years ago. They thought maybe he'd redshirt last year, ended up not redshirting, didn't play much, but they think he is just scratching the surface of crazy high potential. Kansas does have a timeout, not using it for what should be its final possession of the half. Into Adams. He's been the facilitator.
I got to shoot that.
Harris will. Missed it. Dickinson barely had to jump. He scores and is fouled again. En route to a double-figure first half.
Soft shot put up on that rim, and Hunter's just got too much size for that Buff front line. Take a look. That ball hangs in the air. Got a great touch, great hands around the basket. He's been doing that for 5 years.
Also drew the second foul on Dak, who brings it up the floor for Colorado and hoists and misses. Buffs got off to a good start in this game, but Kansas much better defensively than the 165th meeting, a series that dates back to 1931. Kansas 54-5 against Colorado in this building, and they have won 30 straight games against the Buffaloes in Allen Fieldhouse. Trying to make it 31 tonight.
Don't forget, Bill Self is 19-1 against the Buffaloes.
Well, how about that? They started with a 3 early in the game. They go 1 for 11 in the first half, Colorado, and then Yakimovsky hits the first 3 of the second. His first points. Colorado's second leading scorer of the year, 9-7 a game. He and Hammond, their leading scorers, combined for 2.5. Dickinson just curls it over his noggin. And he's got 13.
He's a little too physical for Dak, but even there, he shot right over the top of the athletic sophomore.
Dak, who's a great shot blocker, had 8 against Cincinnati this year, has had his hands full tonight.
That's the lob. They had him.
Instead, Yakimovsky back-to-back threes.
Yeah, this young man played at Washington State the last 4 years, and Tad Boyle was very, very familiar with him from having competed against him in the Pac-12.
Harris will shoot a 3. Rolls in and out. So Colorado goes 1 for 11 3 in the first half and 2 for 2 in the first minute. Now it's Dak inside, scoops it over his head.
That's 8 points. 8 quick points in a little under 2 minutes, Kevin Brown.
Yeah, they scored the first 3 possessions, and all of a sudden, Colorado takes advantage of a sleepy Kansas. Timeout, Jayhawks.
On the pick and roll, and Bill Self had enough, and they've squandered much of that big lead they had at the half.
14 down to 8. Coming off a really rough defensive game Saturday, allowed 81 at Kansas State. Deep shot clock for Harris. Gets the freshman Ranchi.
He's going to have to shoot it, Coit.
He does. He draws the iron out of the hands of Dickinson into the hands of Harris. Coit very early onto the floor, by the way, as Ryland Griffin came out of the game. Dickinson again working on Dak. He'll flip it out. It's Mayo, been a great passer in the game. Adams, Dickinson lost a shoe and airballed it. See if Colorado could get this to a 2-possession game. A spin by Ranchi. Dickinson all over him.
Nicely done.
Rattles it home. And Hunter will get the shoe back. So Ranchi attacks the shoeless wonder, and the lead is down to 6.
Do you think he knew that Dickinson was without a shoe? Because it looked like Ranchi said, I think I got an advantage here. Look, Dak steps on his foot.
And then Dak hands it to him. That's great sportsmanship, maybe, by Dak. Maybe he was just playing mind games with him by distracting him. Do you think he knew that he didn't have a shoe?
Well, I was thinking that Ranchi knew that he could drive on Dickinson because, as you mentioned, Dickinson was like shoeless Joe Jackson.
That's right. I think he played with shoeless Joe Jackson as well.
Perry Ellis did.
So a 6-point game, 7 straight for Colorado. Dickinson with the sneakers attached again. Here's Coit, a deep 3 for David. Coit is good. His first bucket in the last 3 games.
Whenever he's called on, the one thing you can count on is he is fearless. And when he's open, it's usually money.
Former leading scorer in the country, JUCO D3 a couple of years ago. Ranchi again, trying to find Dak. That's a tough pass.
That's a foul.
And yes, they were bailed out by Mayo charging in for his second.
Yeah, let's watch David Coit, young man from New Jersey, played last year and averaged 20 at Northern Illinois in the Mid-American Conference. Mighty Might put points on the board. By the way, a heads up, 80 miles west, Kansas State has just won their 6th straight, knocking off ranked Arizona. So what a week it's been.
73-70. Jerome Tang's team cannot lose.
Probably playing as good as anybody in this conference.
I mean, 13 and 11, but have to be right in the tournament conversation. All the wins are piling up. Mayo all day to do so.
Well, he's got to shoot it quicker because he was open and he just hesitated. He tends to do that on the road as well.
Yakimovsky, no hesitation, his third 3-pointer of the half. Andre Yakimovsky is a 29% 3-point shooter who cannot miss.
Well, give the Buffs credit because they're playing with a lot of poise.
Harris on the roll into the paint, cut off by Hammond. Dickinson shoves it in right through the freshman Ranchi.
Yeah, nice feed by DeJuan Harris. Remember you asked me about shooting it quickly and I said it's better than a turnover?
Yes.
All of a sudden those threes are going down.
They've only turned it over 6 times. They averaged 15. There's number 7.
Yeah.
Hammond's going to defend Harris here. He does. Adams hits the underside of the rim. Dickinson never came back, so he's back in transition for Kansas. 14-point halftime lead down to 8. The Buffaloes winless in Big 12 play.
He's going to shoot
right
this.
There.
I thought Andre would load the gun, but he didn't.
Dak will take it instead. Maybe not the one you want shooting it. Coit. Boy, easily free.
Perfect description.
Rylan Griffin to the pine after about a minute and a half. Coit has taken advantage with 2 quick threes. Here's Hammond. Very quiet game for Colorado's leading scorer. Ronchi elects to drive it instead of shooting a 3. Good choice. He's got a dozen.
He's going to be very, very good here. Playing in Boulder, you can tell.
He's already 1 shy of a season high. Dak with a bear hug on the waist of Dickinson. That'll be his 3rd foul. Halftime lead at 14 is at 9. The Bucks fighting hard here in Lawrence. ESPN's exclusive.
In the NBA as he did in college. Great Danny Manning. He played for the Mavericks towards the end of his career.
1988 National Player of the Year. Danny and the Miracles led Kansas to the title. By the way, on this day 39 years ago, Danny had 27 points, 5 blocks, and a 166 win over Missouri. That was a Final Four game.
Wow. I think this is the anniversary of Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson.
It is indeed, friend. Very good research by you.
And that's kind of what Colorado's trying to do right now. Is knock out the favorite.
Not quite 42-1, but close.
New clock.
Here's Malone. He had a couple of early buckets, and Elijah Malone rolls home another.
Little zone now by the Buffs. Switching in and out.
Paducah's in the game for Dickinson, so Kansas loses a shooter. Coit's hit a couple of 3s and a half. Mayo driving it, cut off. Harris will take it and rattle it out. 7-point game. Here's Smith for the Buffaloes. Remember, Colorado is down 2 with 5.5 to go against Houston. Down 4 with 2 to go in that game Saturday. They're losing by 10, but they are going toe-to-toe with KU here to start the half. Malone with a basket and another timeout taken. Back in 30 to the 5. Elijah Malone, 3.8 points per game in the Big 12 this year. He's perfect for the field. He's got 8 here in Kansas.
Well, keep in mind, this guy scored over 2,000 points as an NAIA All-American. Grace College is up in northern Indiana. And like a lot of guys that are now transferring up with that extra year, he's had back issues, Kevin, which has slowed him down. But you can see he's a skilled offensive player. Buff staying in that zone. You've got to think lob right here.
14-point halftime lead down to 5. That 3's off the mark for
Passmore.
Passmore.
Freshman, yeah.
But it's in the game.
He didn't even hesitate. He's actually going to be a good player.
Been a little banged up of late. Passmore is out there finding Harris, who
nice.
finds and scores it.
He's very crafty because of that length he's got. It's really hard to block his shot, and he used the rim to protect that shot as well.
Well, we saw Dickinson and Adams substitute into the timeout. But Kansas going deep into the bench for Keys Passmore. Gives him a little bit of a jolt. Trying to find answers for the guards tonight, Bill Self. Hammond slips it back for Malone, and an offensive foul drawn by Mayo.
You don't see that charge call very often. And let's go back and watch DeJuan Harris. As he drives baseline, he uses the rim to put the defender in jail. Watch what he does. He's going to drive it. The shot blockers are going to come over, but they can't get it because they've got to go through the rim. Smart play by DeJuan Harris.
Moore didn't want to shoot it. It's a pretty quick cameo for Passmore. Back to the bench as Adams buries the foul line jumper, and just like that, it's at 9.
You pick your poison with him, because if you come up on him, he's just going to lob it over the top to Dickinson and play that big-to-big game we've seen.
Smith, first three-point shooter for Colorado. Ronchik, no interest in taking a three.
No, but he's directing traffic out there.
Malone, that's a tough fadeaway, and it rolled out.
Almost. That's a good example of Dickinson not blocking the shot, but he made a big guy who's kind of owned Kansas the last couple possessions shoot a tougher shot.
Adams, power move, too strong. Colorado trying to snap a 30-game losing streak in Allen Fieldhouse. No, its first Big 12 game of the year. Ruffin, short from the corner, would have made it a 6-point game. Trying to get his hand in the cookie jar. Instead, Mayo, a lot of contact, couldn't finish. Frustrated with the no call. Ruffin, Ronchik, found its way in.
Wow.
Harris knocked it out of his hands. Jayhawks wearing special uniforms today in honor of Black History Month.
And their warm-up shirts had Valentine on the back for the great Darnell Valentine out of Wichita. Played at Kansas in the late 70s, early 80s. Marion Washington took Kansas to 11 NCAA tournaments. There you see Darnell Valentine being honored tonight, but she was a pioneer because she played in the old AIAW at Westchester State in Pennsylvania. It's back before women were part of the NCAA. She is a true pioneer.
And Kansas has this recognition, the Marion A. Washington Trailblazer. And Valentine, one of the two recipients of that, honored during halftime today.
I thought it might have been Valentine's Day, and I just didn't remember.
Wouldn't be the first time, I'm sure.
No.
Dickinson misses. Tapped out to Harris for a fresh 20. 6-point game after Ronchik completed the three-point play.
They're looking to try to seal Hunter, but he gave up. He was trying to post. He gave up.
Harris around Dickinson, who just cleared a little bit of space.
It's a mini George Gervin scoop shot right there. That's a name out of the past. Look him up, Kevin. Look him up. Google him.
You mean the Iceman?
Yes.
The mini Iceman cometh to Kansas. Hassan Jolt, quiet first half for him. Gets it back from Yakimowski. And Jolt, who's only hit 4 threes, misses.
They play that handoff game really well. Nice step back.
Boy, Coit could score.
Yeah, that's how he scored 20 a game, which he did last year. Really good footwork right there.
8-point second half for David Coit. Played really well against UCF. Baylor was scoreless in the last 2.
I know something about being small, and when you're that size and you score 20 points a game in college, you manufacture your shots in different ways. That step back was money.
Jolt on the lob, and no finish for Trevor Basket, but he'll shoot 2 more. Harris with
Watch the step back, Kevin. He's going to drive it, and he just pushes off that front foot. He just is trying to create a little space. Boom! That's great stuff right there. Nicely done. Good technique. Not a youngster from Columbus, New Jersey.
Don't forget Thursday night, tremendous women's basketball game with 3rd-ranked Texas and 8th-ranked Kentucky. 7 Eastern, ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Texas, as Fran mentioned earlier, coming off that great win over South Carolina, looking like a legit championship contender. It'll be a really tough test in Lexington as Basket converts the free throws, his first points.
Another one of those small college guys was D2 All-American at Colorado Mesa College in the Rocky Mountain Conference.
I know Mark Adams would like us to mention the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference.
The RMAC.
Player of the year there. Dickinson gets fouled. One of the things that Tad Boyle talked about at shoot-around today was he's got Baskin up from Colorado Mesa, Malone from the NAIC. Remember, we had Derek White, great D2 player, but he got to sit out a year. He transferred. He was able to take a redshirt year, sit out. These two have not. He felt like if those two had another year in the system, they could become really special players.
Yeah, it's a great point. Of course, Derek White, as I think surprised a lot of people, NBA champion with the Celtics, Olympic gold this past summer in France, in Paris, and in-state Colorado kid. Tad Boyle, thinking of Kevin Boyle, the coach of Montverde. Tad Boyle is the best coach in the history of Colorado. That's a fact. And he's part of the fabric of that university. Just so happens he lost 3 draft picks as they entered the Big 12.
Baskin.
That should be 3 seconds.
Should have been.
Yep.
And instead they got a shot at it from Hammond.
Yeah, they caught a break there, but no harm, no foul.
6 winningest seasons in the history of Colorado basketball. Tad Boyle's been the coach. But obviously this return to the Big 12, they have been knocked down 0-12.
Yeah. And he kind of expected, and I don't know about 0-12, but he expected this to be a transition year after losing some good players.
Dickinson gets mauled. He'll go back to the line where he's 2 for 4. Hunter's got 16 and 8 right around his averages. Trying to take Kansas to a win down the stretch.
They were shooting like you.
Oh, that's cold.
Oh, no, I'm just joking. A great win. Doug McDaniels had 24 tonight. That's the hottest team in the Big 12, one of the hottest in the country. And they are certainly a team that's trending upward and towards an NCAA bid. A lot of work to do, but when I saw them Saturday, I thought they had as good a starting lineup as any team in the Big 12. Any team.
And they led that game for more than 37 minutes against Kansas. 10-point lead for the Jayhawks here. Dickinson split the free throws. Colorado hasn't hit from the field in over 3 minutes. That doesn't change. Hammond has scored 2 points tonight after the 22 against Houston. Dickinson and Coit with 14 of the 20 and a half for Kansas. Been a little bit sleepy here inside the fog, but Jayhawks still up by 10 with 7 to go.
That's good basketball. Coit didn't jack that shot up. He kept the ball, and they're going to end up getting a good shot, but maybe not.
Dickinson turns it over. Basket down the floor. Rodche's got a new season high with 15. He'll take it at Dickinson.
He's
Boy,
impressive.
This kid is unstoppable right now.
Got a chance to see him early in the year, and he showed promise, and kind of a coming out party tonight. Continues that career high.
His previous career high was against Eastern Washington. No disrespect to the Eagles. Mayo has not scored since the 4:05 mark of the first half, meanwhile. Baskin driving it, senses a layup, and Badunga eliminates it.
Great timing. Let's go back and watch Ranchik first. Take it right at Dickinson. No hesitation. It's going to go right up through the shot blocker. But then watch Flory, who is already one of the best shot blockers in college basketball. What I love about him is he doesn't ever leave his feet until the offensive player leaves his feet. So he never gets caught biting for shot baits.
5th in the Big 12 in blocks, despite coming mostly off the bench this year. Rodcheck on the floor with Malone, and Dash just came off the bench. Can't convert it. And that'll be a foul against Malone. Colorado's 5th in the half, his 2nd.
I noticed the Bulls were playing earlier tonight, getting blown out by somebody.
Pistons, I think.
Yeah, Pistons were up 40 at one point. I hope that Sebastian's dad is in that locker room watching some of this, because he's going to be proud of his son.
Foul went to Yakimovsky, by the way, just his first. Deep three won't go for Griffin, who's basically been invisible in his second half. It's sitting the vast majority of the half.
And I've said it before, they have not ever, to my knowledge, gotten all of those transfers to play well on the same night. And it's hard. 5 different players. The only returning backcourt player for Kansas is the guy at the foul line. Everybody else, even 3/4 way through the season, still trying to figure it all out.
Foul was Ronchik's second. Harris, 69% shooter, hits his first. Remember our Saturday triple header. 2 great games in the SEC. Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, Texas, UNC, Syracuse at the Dome, sandwiched in between. But that first game, Auburn and Alabama meeting as top 5 teams for the first time, and they are of course meeting as top 2 teams.
Yep,
for the first time.
Dave Pasch and I will be preceding that game with a really good Houston team going to Tucson, with the Wildcats coming off the loss tonight in Manhattan.
1 versus 2 in the Big 12. Imagine saying that a couple of years ago. Houston, Arizona for the lead in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Corner 3, Ronchik. Too strong, and Badunga boxes out that. Here come the Jayhawks up 10, 5 to go. Here's Griffin. Just needs to see one of these go down. 0 for 4 from the field in the game. Roll it inside to Malone against Badunga. He's already blocked 2, and Malone finishes strong over him. He's into double figures off the bench.
He's got a great touch. Really soft touch for a big fella, but that's how you score 2,000 points in your college career.
21-37 is the number right now for Elijah Malone with Grange, Indiana. A difficult bounce pass somehow found its way to Adams. Mayo, Jackson, deep 3, and the rebound for Ronchik. Kansas has never been in rhythm this half. No field goals in over 5 minutes.
Oh, they got him again. Throw it in there. Oh, they had Malone buried.
Malone's going to try to reset his position here.
Yep, too late. He had Badunga buried.
Hammond driving, stripped by Griffin. Trying to shoot for the Buffs when we come back. They've been hanging around here, Fran, these winless Buffaloes.
Elijah Malone getting it done. 6'10", 268 pounds. And you.
More great college basketball tonight. Jayhawk students trying to make some noise. They have seen their team lead by as many as 14 in the second half. It's down to 8 with under 4 to play.
Scrappy possession of the game so far.
Malone beats the buzzer. Dickinson has his 9th rebound. Colorado trying to snap a 12-game losing streak this season. Get its first Big 12 win. Trying to win for the first time in Allen Fieldhouse in 42 years, but they got work to do, and that's not going to help them. Dickinson over the top. He's got 19 and 9.
That's a staple of that offense for the last 22 years. You seal the defender up the lane, you throw it to the corner of the backboard. Tried and true.
Tad Boyle takes his second timeout. Hunter Dickinson, 19.8 a game over the last 4. And he's got 19 tonight on 8 for 11 shooting.
Watch how he does it. He's going to seal Malone. And maybe a little push right there. They don't call that. But they throw it to the corner of the board. Watch him. Perfect. You got to know what's coming. And the first defender on that play is the man guarding the passer. It's not Malone's fault that he got sealed off the lane. This is like, this is your first time in Allen Fieldhouse. This is a typical Hunter Dickinson night. This is like routine. He's so consistent that you can pretty much count on this kind of performance every single night. We've seen Adams play well tonight. And I'll go back to what I said. For Kansas to reach their potential, it's got to be more than just one of the transfers on a given night. It's just the way it is.
And in that respect, there's work to do because Mayo was good early, hadn't scored in over 20 minutes. Coyd had the little burst to start the second half. Griffin and Moore have really been non-factors. Store as well.
Yeah, that's a good play right there.
Yakimowski misses, and it's put back in by who else? Ronchik, a career-high 19 points, a career-high 8 rebounds. He's averaging 5 and 2.
You know, I remember Tristan De Silva as a freshman, who's now in the NBA first-round pick with the Orlando Magic. And this kid has a lot of the same confidence that De Silva showed his freshman year. This kid's going to be really a good player.
Corner 3 wouldn't go for Griffin. Tipped out to Mayo. A big one.
That play right there. is why Bill Self will go to his grave with KJ Adams. All he gets is a rebound. I don't even know if he gets an assist on that, but he might.
He should. Hammond. Back from Dak. Harris has done a great job on Hammond tonight. He cuts. He goes into Dickinson, who went straight up. Harris rips it away. Down the floor for Mayo. And he'll wisely pull it out with 2 to go.
Yep, they've got the lead. Use a little clock. Swing it. Probably ends up back at Dickinson's hands if it's possible.
Kansas with 17 assists, 26 makes it. Adams did get an assist on that last 3. We'll give it to Harris now. Bouncer for a cutting Mayo, denied by Dak. 1.8 to shoot it. Kansas will have to inbound from the corner.
All right, now this is a situation where you'll see a little lob play here, maybe. Let's watch that last bucket right here. Great tip out by KJ to Mayo. He knocks it down.
There's the lob. Adams got it.
Been watching that for 22 years, bro. Knew that was coming.
I know you've been watching it the last 4 games. How many, if any, are better than Bill Self with 1.8 to go and one coming out of the corner?
Pretty good. Here it is. Good screen. Got to know it's coming. And I think they did know it was coming, but KJ's such a good athlete.
Adams with a 10-point game. 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, which he did last home game against Iowa State, and 3 steals plus a block. Just a typical KJ Adams game. The guy who's gotten better and better every year he's been in Lawrence.
Well, he was the most improved player in the Big 12 2 years ago as a sophomore. And throughout his career, he makes winning plays. Added a little mid-range jumper to his game. Obviously, the one thing that's really been impressive through the years, his passing, the defense. One of the 5 best defensive players in the league. Just a complete all-around night.
And a pretty similar story on the other end for Colorado. Hanging around, and then late game execution has been their enemy this year. And a lot of these Big 12 losses, which were close until the end.
No, I would say overall, Kevin, they've acquitted themselves well.
Yep.
You know, I'll go back and say it. They lost 3 NBA draft picks, 2 first-round picks. They're going to take a look at this. And both teams will get a free timeout here. Bill Self told us today that he still thinks there's a lot of basketball left. They've got a kind of a tricky trip this weekend to Utah and BYU.
Well, the call was out of bounds off of Kansas. That may have hit Yakumovsky.
No, I think it's going to be a quick decision here. Marquise Pettigrew, the crew chief tonight. I don't think that Griffin was close to that, do you?
Well, 1:22 to go. And again, Tad Boyle's team, they've been in so many games. The energy's been good, the effort, the fight, but it looks like they're going to come up just short again. And Tad Boyle, this guy needs a win here, because not only has Colorado lost 30 straight games in Allen Fieldhouse, the last time Colorado came into the Fog and won was February 10th, 1983, when they beat Tad Boyle's Kansas Jayhawks.
I think that was a Jay Humphreys team. Jay Humphreys was a terrific guard at Colorado, played in the NBA. To hold.
Ball did stay with Colorado, and there was a foul. Kansas 4th.
Tad was the Colorado Player of the Year. He's from Greeley, Colorado. After his playing career, he was an investment advisor in Boulder. Got into coaching, I believe, through Jerry Green. who was a coach at Oregon. Tad and Mark Turgeon, his former teammate, are very close.
Yakimowski no good. He told us today he went from making six figures in the investment world to $16,000. And you mentioned in part, Mark Turgeon got on the job at Oregon. He said, I wasn't married. I had no debt. I owned a house.
Yep.
I felt like it was the right time to do it. He'd been coaching high school basketball on the side as well. And he has had a terrific career in Colorado, hoping that this is just going to be a bump in the road. They got 5 freshmen coming in next year. They think they'll have a very good young team. Maybe hit a couple of players in the portal and be better equipped for the rigors of the Big 12.
You know, they had a player last year, KJ Simpson, who came out. He was the 3rd player drafted, 2nd round in the G League right now. I was really disappointed. Listen, when you get a chance to go to the NBA or try to get to the NBA, you know, you understand it. But KJ, I think, would have been a big factor, not only on his team, but he would have been one of the best guards in the Big 12 this year. And but he chose to come out, and Tad could not be happier for him. You see the numbers. He averaged 19 last year. De Silva, Cody Williams has a bright future. You know, he's had Derek White. He's had Spencer Dinwiddie. Done a really, really good job. And I think anybody who knows basketball knows what a good coach he is. And you have these kind of years on occasion.
Largest lead for Kansas, 15. Hammond into Dak. And he gets fouled. So Kansas, I know we're not quite at the finish line yet, but under a minute to go. Then there's only so much maybe you can tell in a home game against the worst team. They got to go out on the road and prove it.
Yes.
What encouraging signs can you take from this performance?
You know, the big 3 are rock solid. They really are. You know, DeJuan Harris is not having an unbelievable year. It's a good year by his standards. But you and I could probably win in here. They have to go on the road and prove they can be the kind of team that everybody who picked them #1 in the country thought they'd be.
Get Saturday, Utah. That's an ESPN game. Tuesday at BYU.
Yeah, the BYU game particularly will be tricky. They've got a lottery pick. They've got 2 first-round picks. New coach Kevin Young coming from the NBA.
BYU had a nice win tonight at West Virginia.
Yeah.
Well, trying to get into the tournament.
They're in the mix.
Mayo had to hoist at the end of the shot clock, and it'd be a violation before Harris got that on the rim. And this is what we're talking about with Bill Self and Kansas. They have struggled to go out and win games away from the Fog the last 2 years. 26-3 home, 6-12 on the road.
That's going to be the key in February.
Last 5 years in the Big 12, Kansas 19-23 on the road, 37-5 at home. That's Big 12 games alone as Dak lays it in. And Kansas will dribble it out. So still plenty of questions to be answered, but it is a stabilizing night for now for Kansas. They give up just 59 points. They get a Timmermans from Hunter Dickin, and the Jayhawks beat Colorado by a dozen, and the Bucks return to Lawrence in the Big 12. Bill